Hello everyone, and thanks for attending today's event. I'm your host, Ed Hauber, and I'm excited to be with you today to discuss the latest capabilities and benefits of AI-based metadata generation, enhancement, and integration from Digital Nirvana. For those of you unfamiliar with us, Digital Nirvana is a knowledge management software company. We've been in business since 1996, serving the media, education, media monitoring, and financial markets. Our AI and machine learning solutions empower broadcasters, MVPDs, and OTT providers to create content faster and easier by way of automating the extraction, generation, enhancement, and integration of various forms of metadata, most notably transcripts, captions, caption translations, as well as a wide variety of video intelligence data. For today's session, we'll be focusing most of our attention on a solution we call Metadata IQ. Metadata IQ applies AI and ML to Avid workflows to auto-generate transcripts of live and historical assets, then indexes this transcript metadata with the corresponding media assets within the Avid Interplay and Media Central environments. This automated process of metadata creation and enrichment allows Avid producers and editors to accelerate the identification, search, and retrieval of critical media assets while reducing the time, effort, and complexity of delivering finished content. As a real-world example of this technology, we're currently involved in a successful Metadata IQ rollout with a global news organization involving the creation of real-time transcript metadata from 60 live news feeds. Metadata IQ accurately time indexes this real-time transcript data back to the corresponding media within the Avid Interplay workgroup. This automated process of metadata generation and indexing allows for greatly enhanced visibility and access of critical media assets across the enterprise, resulting in the accelerated production of news content for air, OTT, and VOD distribution. At this time, I'd like to introduce my colleague, Russell Vijayan, Product Manager of our Media Services Business Unit, which includes our Metadata IQ solution. Russell, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Ed. Glad to be here.
So, Russell, let's take a few minutes at the top to step our viewers through some of the key points concerning Metadata IQ, what it does, how it works, etc.
Sure. Metadata IQ is a hybrid application which functions as an intelligent software layer operating between the Avid Interplay environment and Digital Nirvana's Media Services IQ or MSIQ machine learning. Now, it integrates directly with Avid Interplay for the purpose of extracting media, generating, enhancing, and indexing speech-to-text transcripts from live as well as offline media assets. Now, these metadata are then time-indexed as markers or locators with the media back into Avid Interplay environment, and they can be accessed then globally via Avid Media Composer.
So a moment ago, Russell, you mentioned Media Services IQ. What is Media Services IQ and what role does it play with Metadata IQ and Avid?
So Media Services IQ is the gateway to Digital Nirvana's AI and machine learning suite of capabilities. It also serves as a foundation for Digital Nirvana's flagship media applications such as Metadata IQ, the one we're discussing today, then MonitorIQ, Trans. All these applications use Media Services IQ or MSIQ as a foundation. Now, MSIQ is a collection of microservices and workflow tools designed to enhance broadcast and post-production operations. Now, these microservices include metadata generation, extraction, and enhancement. And these metadata, when I say metadata, it includes automatic speech-to-text, machine translation, video intelligence metadata, and content classification, all of that. And it can also be used for closed caption generation, subtitle generation, all of that. Now, MSIQ is the machine learning application cluster which operates in the background to identify and generate all requested metadata. Metadata IQ is the connector between Avid Interplay to our MSIQ, sending media assets to MSIQ for processing in the cloud and later receiving the indexing receiving and indexing these assets with corresponding metadata back into the Avid environment, right? So it's really a three-way process, with Metadata IQ being the agent in the middle, communicating between Avid and MSIQ to make the entire process happen.
So tell us how Metadata IQ actually works, Russell.
Okay. Digital Nirvana's the software application Metadata IQ provides off-the-shelf integration with Avid Interplay and simplifies the process of automatic transcription and other metadata generation for Avid users. Now, when installed as a hybrid, the on-premise customer solution, that is the Metadata IQ, is configured with access to Interplay and an ISO storage mode over the web services API. And when new files get added to the configured storage locations, also known as watch folders, Metadata IQ now scans the folder and automatically retrieves these newly added files as new jobs and sends them over to the cloud to MSIQ for processing. Now, this is offline files. And now in case of real-time transcript generation process, at present, the customer will have to publish an RTMP stream to the local Metadata IQ instance with the mob ID in the URL. So once that is complete, the stream goes through real-time speech-to-text processing in the cloud and then is correctly formatted and time-coded, and text is streamed back into Avid as markers for the asset, for which the mob ID was given in the RTMP file. That's how it works.
Very good. Yeah, thank you for that, Russell. So with that in mind, who in the M&E space would you say is Metadata IQ intended for?
So there are different sets of organizations that could benefit from Metadata IQ. It's an ideal solution for Avid-based media operators with some of these use cases. Say, for example, organizations which deal with large volume of raw field content, outlets that routinely take in news feeds lacking metadata references, operators with media libraries, large libraries that lack accessibility and visibility to the nature of archive assets. And like I said, Metadata IQ in concert with Media Services IQ or MSIQ creates real-time speech-to-text transcript metadata of growing files as well as offline files. Now, this automatic metadata process empowers media professionals across the organization to easily search for and retrieve critical assets within Interplay or Media Central to reduce the time and effort needed to produce finished content. Now, for certain reality-style programs with extensive man-on-the-street interviews and tons of raw camera footage, these automatic machine transcripts can be used successfully to identify relevant sound bites, greatly reducing in some cases, and in some cases, eliminating the manual logging process itself. For post-production requirements, operators can leverage Metadata IQ to submit files directly from their Avid workflow to Digital Nirvana services, whether it's to generate transcripts, whether it generate closed captions or subtitles or text localization. So Metadata IQ can be used to directly submit these video assets to the services and then receive outputs of these processes as separate sidecar files, whichever sidecar files that is put. For media operators with in-house teams for transcription, captioning, and translation within their unit, the same process can happen. Metadata IQ can be used to automatically send these media assets to cloud processing, take the speech-to-text input as markers or locators within Avid. At the same time, a copy of that can be sent to Digital Nirvana's SAS application to refine, where it's a transcription, closed caption, translation application where users can go in and refine the machine transcripts for permanent archive application, which means your edited or final good quality transcript can return back into Avid as markers as one end. Again, the user can proceed further to create perfect closed captioning or subtitles or localization of content for delivery. Now, again, these can be exported as separate sidecar files, as well as now you have a perfectly curated transcript in your Avid with the same asset, as well as you can generate closed captions for the same asset. That would be some of the use cases there.
Very good. So, Russell, let's talk for a minute about this concept of integrated metadata and why it's such a big deal.
It really is a big deal. With the advent of content-based metadata, it's well known in the industry that the industry has seen big gains in productivity, right? Also, customer acquisition and equally big reductions in both cost and time to create finished program. Now, content creators routinely generate, say, multiple thousands of hours of raw footage in order to create, let's say, 100 hours of finished content. Now, it remains commonplace today for producers to manually log and notate raw content, or editors to go in and scrub through the entire raw footage in order to identify valuable assets to be used later during subsequent editing and post-production steps. Now, with the availability of these auto-generated content-based metadata, producers can now spend less time searching for and retrieving media assets and more time generating high-quality content in the shortest time. In addition, this time-indexed metadata is anchored to the asset within the media archive, right? So this metadata indexing enables elegant content organization, retrieval, and maximize leverage and monetization of existing media assets. Let's say finding hidden gems sometimes. Now, with the advent of this rich metadata enhancement, content no longer remains hidden. Basically, the entire video footages are becoming readable by all the machines, right? And now it's not going to remain hidden and inaccessible in large media vaults, invisible to anybody, right?
Yes, absolutely. So a moment ago you touched on this, but explain a little bit more how Metadata IQ can potentially leverage other digital Nirvana solutions to expand on its capabilities.
Oh yeah. Metadata IQ itself was designed intentionally to leverage and interact with digital Nirvana's other media applications, say trans or transcription and captioning services. So, for example, let's say if an operator has a requirement to refine transcript metadata, the machine-generated transcript metadata, or create closed captions or subtitles, or translate captions or subtitles in alternate languages. Now, Metadata IQ can automatically send files directly to digital Nirvana's trans application, where the customer's in-house personnel can seamlessly do the editorial work. And once complete, trans can publish certain or separate sidecar files in all industry-specific formats. Now, let's assume if the same requirement exists, but the company organization does not have in-house personnel to perform this work, what Metadata IQ can do, the same process, it will send media assets directly from Avid to digital Nirvana's transcription and captioning services, where they can avail a complete turnkey hands-off experience. Digital Nirvana's team of professionally trained transcriptionists and captioners and language specialists will do the work and provide these customers with fully perfect finished projects. Like before, these projects can be published at either separate sidecar file and also automatically republished back into Avid's Avid Interplay environment as panels.
So to recap, Russell, for our audience, what are the core benefits of having integrated transcript metadata within an Avid enterprise workflow?
Everything I said. So in a nutshell, let's call it as scalability. Imagine this automated, real-time, cloud-based generation of all this accurate transcript metadata that does not require teams of 24/7 personnel to sit and manually log the entire content. Another would be the visibility, the global visibility and accessibility of content. Now, take the scenario, all Avid media assets with transcript metadata are now becoming visible across the enterprise to identify, search for, and retrieve any critical media asset based on this time-indexed markers and transcript keywords. Another one would be, like I already mentioned, this enhanced productivity. Now, editors will have the ability to produce finished content significantly faster than and easier than ever before. They don't have to scrub through tons of footages that comes in. And improved utilization of assets. So awareness and identification of assets leading to better monetization and revenue generation from those exact same assets.
Yeah, very good. Thank you, Russell. And with that last answer, we are just about out of time for today's session. My team and I at Digital Nirvana welcome the opportunity to connect personally with each of you who may have an interest in our Metadata IQ solution for your operation. The first step would be to connect with us either by phone, email, or via our website, www.digital-nirvana.com. From there, we'll have a conversation to discuss basic requirements and determine if Metadata IQ is a good fit for your use case. Assuming the answers to those questions are yes, we'll do some additional work, including expanded requirements discovery, and then we'll formulate a plan to begin a no-cost trial of Metadata IQ. So if that's you, please do get in touch with us. I'd like to thank every one of you who attended today's presentation. It's been an absolute pleasure for both Russell and I to share with you the latest enhancements in metadata generation for Avid workflows. To learn more about Metadata IQ, as well as our transcription, captioning, translation, video intelligence, and compliance monitoring solutions, please connect with us at our website, again, www.digital-nirvana.com. We look forward to personally connecting with you, and we'll see you in the next webinar.